Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Nerds for Life SuperCoach. I'm your host Peter. We have a big episode kicking off this week. Before we begin, I just want to let you know that you can subscribe. And if you're watching this on YouTube, so please make sure to do so you keep up to date with all of our videos. Also, we are on TikTok, so you can search for Nerds for Life SC, so Nerds for Life SuperCoach on TikTok. I'm also available on Twitter. I post a lot of news updates, a lot of POD choices. There's just a lot of some memes, as you can see there. On Twitter, we're also on Instagram. I don't actually post too much on Instagram, but you can find us on Instagram, and I'm also on Facebook as well. I don't have my Facebook up, but it is Nerds for Life SC, so Nerds for Life SuperCoach. So you can catch us there. You can catch us in all of those things, in all those places. Now, we have a huge episode, as I mentioned before. I've got some POD options that I want to bring up. I've got 3 players that you should probably just look into this round. Just have a little punt. I want to be a bit different. I mean, there's a lot of guys, there's a lot of content creators out there, and they all talk about the same dudes. But, I just want to add a couple of things. Just a little bit of a left of center sort of opinion, which will, it could pay off. It could pay off. It might not, but it could pay off. I want to talk about who to bring in this week as well, who I'm eyeing off and who others should probably eye off. I personally have, we all have different sides, but there's just a few players that I just want to mention. We've also got some injury concerns as well, and a few updates from the coaches from training today. And I'm training, when am I doing this? Thursday. So there's a few training notes as well. I'm going to talk about my trade weeks my trades this week and potential captains' choices. Now, let's kick it off. I've got some POD news. So we have a blog, nerdsforlife.com. So it's just there, and then you just click on SuperCoach just there. And that will get you to our blog, which will enable you to take a look at some of our POD options who I like to talk about weekly. I usually post about 2 to 4 a week. Just some people to just look into. Have a look at. The first one I want to bring up is a mid-pricer still. So he's still mid-price, and we have seen one price change. His name is Jack Buckley. Been killing it this year, and I don't understand why he's flown under the radar. We've spent a lot of time talking about defenders like Josh Goda, Liam Jones, Jack Bowes, Liam Stocker. By the way, Jack Bowes is on the bubble this week. You can look at him, but I'll bring him up a little bit later on. But this guy's, to be honest, this guy's outperformed all of them. I don't understand why we bothered with all the other dudes. This guy started at 205k, has seen a price rise, which is annoying. He's now priced at 275,900. So he's jumped up 70k. All right, frustrating. But his BE, his break even still only -40. And if he scores 68, which is well below what he's averaging this season, he's going to go up by another 50k. So you're still getting a decent player at a discount. He has scored 76, 99, and 99 against Adelaide, West Coast, and Carlton. These are not terrible sides to score against. And he is actually a preferred defensive option over... He's doing better than Whitfield, Ash, and Cumming this year. He is averaging better than them. Better. This guy's just come out of freaking nowhere. And the thing is, he's only in 3.5% of teams at the moment. Absolute POD. He's 25 years old, so you're not picking up a rookie. He was a Category B rookie in 2017. He's played 20 AFL games since debuting in 2018. And his best season came in 2021 when he played 15 AFL games and averaged 62.1 points. At his price point, he could seriously go up by another 100k easily and still score you pretty well. His floor was 76. 78, was it 78? 76. Fantastic. And he's touching hundreds. He's touching the tons. If this guy scored 1 point more in rounds 2 and 3, I guarantee you a lot more people will be talking about him. But he's in the 90s still. Look, honestly, I'm all over this guy, and he's the first player I've brought in. So I've traded Jack Goda. Goda can just piss right off out of my side, and I brought in Buckley. who's going to be my D2. Personally, I like it. He's a stepping stone. He's not a keeper. He's definitely not a keeper, but he's a stepping stone player. He might make me 100k and see what I can do. As I mentioned, there's a couple of other options that I'm talking about bringing in. One of them is a defender. It's not just Jack Buckley. I do have another player that I want to mention to you, but that'll be a little bit later on. I'm picking Buckley over that other guy purely because of price. Because I want this money for next week, and I'll explain why in a moment as well. Next, the player I want to bring up is another little one, a little POD. Now, I'm not taking this punt. I'm not taking the punt on him just because I brought in Buckley. I can't bring in two of these guys. It's Darcy McPherson. Now, I know, the Gold Coast Suns defender, he's an interesting choice, and this is not for the faint-hearted. This is the sort of player that you should be looking at if you've got a bit of cash in the bank, your side's fine, and you don't need to make any trades this week, but you just want to improve, one of your rookies or a couple of your rookies into someone. This could be someone to look at. It's not a player that's going to save your season, but he's the type of guy that could be interesting if the price is right or if the time is right. So McPherson's BE is 24. He's priced at $342,000 after the round 3 price rise. He's 25 years old, and his projected score is 72. Now, he's expected to go up another 22k, so that's all right. So there's a little bit of money to be made there. Now, the Suns defender's previous best season came in 2019 when he averaged 81.7 SuperCoach points, and he came third in Gold Coast best and fairest, by the way. Decent season, and he's scoring roughly that amount. He's actually scoring better at 82.7 points across the first 3 games, and scores of 76, 74, and 98 against Sydney, Essendon, and Geelong. So he's got a decent form record at the moment. Now, in 2020 and 2021 and 2022, he really fell out of their best 22. I think he sold a trade at some point as well, but he hasn't really been in their best 22 for those 3 seasons. Has kind of come out of nowhere this year and is just back in his best form. He's got DDP status as a defensive forward, so you can move him so you can move him around if need be. And we're going to get a new defensive forward in Jack Zeeble soon too. So think about it, when DDP changes take place, he could be and Sheasel as well will also get defensive forward capabilities as well. So he could be one of those guys that you could rotate with those 2 players, if need be. He's had 22 disposals and 5 marks against the Swans in round 1, 18 disposals and 5 marks against the Dons in round 2, and a team high 24 disposals and 9 marks against the Cats in round 3, in a game that they got absolutely annihilated in. He's actually doing all right. To be honest, that 98 against the Swans, against the Cats, or whoever, against the Cats, is probably a little bit conservative. He probably should have been a little bit higher, to be perfectly honest with you. But he's been doing pretty well, and those 70 scores are not an accurate reflection of how well he's been playing. As I said, he's only in 0.3% of teams. He's so low. So he's a super POD if you pick Darcy McPherson up. But look, just someone to consider and just keep an eye on. Worst case scenario, try to get him in your draft league. I tried to trade him in. So I contacted the guy in my keeper draft league for Darcy McPherson, and he was just stunned at the fact that I was asking to bring this guy in. Could be a bit of a laugh as a bit of a trade option. Now, I want to go into a little bit more PODs. There's one more POD that I'm considering, and it's only for draft. It's only for the draft league and your keeper league. I do not expect you to pick this guy up at all, and I mean it at all, in your keeper league, in your classic. Don't do it. And that's Ash Johnson. Now, the reason I want to talk about Ash Johnson is, by the way, he's about 300k in classic, so I wouldn't go for him at all. The Collingwood forward is going to be playing ruck predominantly now that Darcy Cameron is injured and Mason Cox is still a long while away. Both players are going to be absent for at least a month. Ash Johnson is named as their number 1 ruckman for the next month, basically, because they're deciding not to go with Steen or who's the other one, Bug or something. Who's that other Who's that other ruckman? Just trying to see who that other ruckman is. That Collingwood ruckman that played a few games last year is about 198k. Where is he? Collingwood. There he is. Beg. So they're not going with either of those guys, which kind of surprises me considering Begg actually played games last year. They're going with Ash Johnson, and McStay is also going to be rotating through the ruck. We also saw Pendlebury playing in the ruck too last week, so hopefully that doesn't happen too much. But yeah, this is the sort of guy that you could just take a look at, and you could try to bring him into your draft league if need be. So they're the POD options that I have this week that I think you should take a look at. There's a couple of players that I want to bring up as draft ins, so people to bring in, and one of them is Will Day. Now, I spoke about Will Day a few months ago. The guy is playing solid. He's playing solid. He's got some CBAs. The role is right. The role is really right. He's just a bit scrawny. That's the only thing that's a bit annoying. Day, his performances have been pretty good, and he has had a price rise. He's already gone up 40k. He is listed. Did that not work? Why did that not work? Come on, SuperCoach website. Here we go, 402k. He's currently listed at $40,000 greater than what he started. Look, he's playing well. His 60 against Essendon was pretty poor, but then 98 against the Swans, that's a bigger bodied midfield right there, and he's actually performed quite well. 139 against North is pretty messed up. He's never played against Geelong, so I don't know how he's going to do against the Cats, but he's also never played this much midfield. He's just an option. Look, his projected score's 86. He's got a -6 BE. He's projected to go up by another 42k potentially. Honestly, I can afford either Buckley or Day. I really can, but I don't want to burn that much cash on a stepping stone player. I think I'm just going to hold off from Day. I kind of wish I started Day. As I said, I was talking about Day a couple of months entering the season. So this is when I posted this. I posted it in early March, I believe. So, this is the guy that I was talking to before the season started. I honestly wanted him, but I just couldn't afford him. I couldn't get him in my team. And now I have the opportunity to get him, but I just feel like Buckley is going to score relatively similar. Like, I know that Day had that massive 139 last week. Where was it? Yeah. I know that he had that massive 139 score, which is fantastic. And yes, the spike games are probably going to be higher than a Jack Buckley, but on average, I don't see Day scoring that much better. I don't know. I haven't made the final decision yet. I'm probably going to go with the Buckley purely on price point because I want this money here. I want this money here so that I can go spend it on another player so I can really increase my team in other positions. I think their overall average will be similar. The other player I want to bring in is, it's going to be, I'm going to be honest, sometimes we go with some generic players. Let's be real. Clayton Oliver. If you don't have Clayton Oliver, get Clayton Oliver. But I'm going to be holding off. 701k, he's actually gone up in value. I can't believe he's gone up in value. He does have West Coast, but West Coast is his bogey team. Look at his last 3 games against the Eagles. Also, in every season, outside I think of 2017, Clayton Oliver has dropped sub 100 in either rounds 4 or 5. So, I'm going to be honest. Just based on history, there is a good chance that he might score below 90, below 100. And if he does, his price is going to plummet. And that is what I'm banking this money for. I'm banking on Clayton Oliver eventually having an average game, his value goes down, and I pick him up at about 650k because I decided to pick Laird instead of Oliver. And that is a decision that I'm never going to ever make again. I still think Laird's going to come good. Please don't trade Laird out, by the way. Don't do it. Don't trade out your Lairds. Don't trade out your Bontempellis. Don't do it. I know last week I traded out Sam Doherty and Lachie Neale, and I still stand by that. I still stand by those being decent trades. Sean Darcy. Yeah, he had a huge score of 170 odd or something on the weekend. But I'm going to be honest, he played against West Coast, and their number 1 ruckman at the moment with Nick Naitanui out is basically a VFL midfielder. Sean Darcy's looked horrible over the first 2 games. He just looked bad. And we've also got to take into consideration that now he has another guy in that side, Luke Jackson, who is taking away from his ruck opportunities. I don't think Sean Darcy is going to be playing at that level forever. Like this week, last week, what he did last week is not going to be a thing that we're going to see week in, week out. It's just not. I stand by bringing in Tim English. I think Rowan Marshall's another guy that I've seen be mentioned as a trade out. I don't see why you would personally do that. The guy is he's going to come good. We saw what he can do in round 2. His form has not been that bad. If guys can hold on to Sean Darcy, you can hold on to Rowan Marshall. I personally think that Tim English and Rowan Marshall, if you're suffering from the Darcy Cameron injury, the sort of players in this order are the players that I think that you should be trying to look at, and that is Tim English, number 1, Jared Witts for consistency, and then Rowan Marshall, number 3. If you don't have one of those 3 players and you're trading out Darcy Cameron, get one of those 3 players and do everything in your power to get one of those 3 players. Tim English is a superstar. He's the best performing ruckman. I think he's the best performing player this season thus far. So just get him in your side. Just do it. Okay? And the same with Rowan Marshall. He's going to come good. He's their only ruckman. Enjoy that, because most of the time, if that's his floor, if 78 is his floor, I guarantee you it's a lot better than the 50 that he pumped out in round 1 or the 58 that Cogs pumped out. So don't worry, that's a decent floor to have. The other player I want to bring up, and Sam Docherty, I just think his role is not great. Like, I get he's playing a lot of midfield, he's getting a lot of the ball, but they're not resulting in scores. And I just want to bring up a player last year I want to bring up Jaden Short. Last year, Jaden Short started to get a lot more midfield time, and it did not equal in a better SuperCoach outcome. And I kind of see that happening to Sam Docherty already. I think Sam Docherty is going to be a top 8 defender, but I just feel as if he's going to continue to plummet cash for a while until Sammy Walsh is back. And that's when he might start to score a little bit better, where he's playing a little bit less midfield, more defense, and he actually knows what he's doing in that position. So I just want to mention that as well. I think that Sam Docherty is going to be a player that I want to bring in the next couple of weeks. Sam Walsh is a player that he trained well yesterday, actually. And he pulled up okay from all reports from the Blues. So he is the sort of player that apparently is going to be fit and firing for round 5. So that is how soon it's going to be before Sam Docherty's CBA is probably reduced. He goes back to that defensive role that we know and love, and his scores start getting a little better. And I'm all for trading Sam Docherty back into my team once he does start to score at that level once again. There are a few players, as I mentioned, to bring in. I think that Touk Miller has been one of those players that people have been talking about, but Touk, his price is going down. So let me see. Miller's price is going down. So he's already dropped 18k, and his break even is, what's his break even? His break even is 151. Like, let's be real. He's probably not going to score that. It's against the Saints. They do tag. Jack Bytel might come back. Doesn't have a great record against the Saints. Doesn't have a terrible record. I can see him just touching 100, like literally just scraping to it, and then dropping cash. If he drops cash by another 20k, he suddenly becomes close to a 600k mark. He has an amazing record against Freo and North. And by the way, if I can't afford Clary, this is my next bring-in option. Tukey Miller next week would be the guy that I want next outside of, and I mean it when I say outside of Clayton Oliver. If I can't afford Oliver, I'll be going for Tukey Miller because he's going to absolutely tear Fremantle and North Melbourne apart. Look at this history. It's actually fantastic. As I said, he's got a lot of decent oppositions. He's going to bottom out at about round 6, but to be honest, his projected score is only 117 against both Freo and North, and he's going to do better than that. I'd be very surprised if Touk Miller doesn't do better than that. He had that injury concern, looked fit AF prior to that. His scoring has been, it's been okay, but it's been decent as well. It's not terrible. 113, 106, 109. Like, if this is average form, I I'm okay with that. I'm going to be honest. I'm okay with that because I know what his ceiling is, and I have a feeling against teams like Freo are a basket case at the moment this year. North, Richmond, who don't tag, Melbourne, West Coast. Holy shit. He is going to kill it. Then he's got the Lions, who don't typically tag. He's got the Dogs, who again, not really taggers. He's got Adelaide, basket case. Carlton don't really do it. Hawks do it, but that's all the way around 15. Also, Touk Miller has the best buy. The best buy this season. I'm going to be honest. Tukey is my number one trade option for next week, and that is what I'm banking this money for. And that's why I'm not going for Will Day, personally. I'm not going for Will Day because I want Touk Miller next week. I'm hoping that Jacob Hopper, we know that he's going to come back this week. It's already been confirmed earlier in the week. Something that I did announce on my Twitter. Where are you? Where is this tweet that I tweeted? Here it is, and it only got 5 likes. Yeah, Jacob Hopper will be coming back. The source was the AFL website. So Hopper's back after 1 week. And his projected score, he's projected to go up by another 37k. He's projected to score 86. His break-even's only 4. And if he does a lot better than 86 against the Dogs, then who knows? He might go up by even more. And hopefully I can do a trade. A couple of trades. Maybe trade down a Philippou, Hopper, and Philippou and Hopper, and use my cash to get Tukey Miller next week and bring in a couple of guys on the bubble. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I was thinking of doing a boost, and I might still do a boost, by the way. I know that I mentioned I'm going to talk about my trades later, but I am considering doing a boost if both Constable and Chesser don't play this week. If Constable's not named this week at all, like not even on the extended bench, then I'll use him as my sub for a loop. Chesser has been also ruled out for I think till round 6 or something. Yeah, he's been ruled out for 6 weeks, I'm fairly certain. So it's time to trade him. Didn't really generate us the cash we would have liked. At least got a price rise, I suppose. But I'm going to be honest, if Constable's not named, he'll be my loop, and then Chesser will be you. I'll be boosting to get rid of Chesser. I don't know who for. I don't really like a lot of the players that I'd have to trade in. Maybe Tyler Young, but I just feel like that's just another guy that's going to play another week or two and be out. Tyler Young is not someone that I would consider trading in. His job security is not great. Gibcus is still injured. We also have Gibcus, and Robbie Tarrant did play VFL last week, so it's only a matter of time before Tyler Young's out of that side for the Tigers. Could make a little bit of money. Like if we go, where are we? Tyler Young. His basement price, yes. His break-even's negative 27, yes. His projected score's 20. He's going to go up 25k. Is 25k worth your trade? That's what I'm asking you. Right, his scoring's not that great, and he's got some pretty tough opponents coming up, like the Dogs, Sydney, Melbourne. I don't know. Like, look, the kid, he's okay, but the second Gibcus is available, and Robbie Tarrant is currently available, he could lose his spot very quickly. I just don't think that we should be trading him in. I might go early on another rookie defender if there are rookie defender options. But right now I'm just going to be holding Chesser, unfortunately, on my bench, and hopefully that won't be an issue later on. So hopefully Constable plays, and then I can just use Chesser as my loop. That's what I'm hoping for. Now, I haven't finalized my emergencies or anything like that, but the other player I've traded out is Zava Radaglia for Samson Ryan. Samson Ryan has been named to play finally. I was going to tweet that. Okay, so Damien Hardwick earlier this week has announced that Samson Ryan will be playing his 3rd AFL game this season, and therefore he is good to go. He's going to go up in value. I'm just going to actually tweet that now, and there we go. I've tweeted it. So I've just tweeted that because it is good news. It's exciting stuff. And yeah, he's the kind of player. Look, he's got the same DDP status as Radaglia, which is what we wanted, a forward ruck. He's a lot cheaper, and his scoring is better. Like, look at this. Look at this. His first game was a 72, but then his last game was a 27. He was subbed out. But it was a really wet, dewy game against the Pies, and it's not a true reflection. Like, it wasn't a true reflection of what he could do. Not the best opportunity for a tall forward playing only his third AFL game. And he is going to be playing predominantly forward, and he's not going to be playing that much ruck. Nank is the main ruck option, but Samson Ryan's a good alternative if something happens to Nank. Which I hope not as a Richmond supporter. But look, he's projected to score 29. I'd be very surprised if he actually scored 29 against the Dogs. He's going to go up by 26k. He's got a negative 28 break even. He's going to continue making money. And he's got that forward ruck option, which means that you can rotate him if need be, if there's another forward ruck that appears later on in the season. Right now, he is the best rookie ruck option for me, and I brought him in. I'm happy with him. I've got a few Tigers as a Tigers fan. I have a soft spot for Richmond players, obviously. So let's go. I'm committed. I'm committed to him. I'm going to stick with it. That's the only trade I'm going to make as well, unless both of these guys are not named. If one of them are not named, then it's okay. I just want to discuss some of the break evens. So rookies like Gimby have a lot more money to make. I know he went up by a lot of cash. Don't trade him out yet. Cowan, he's still got more money to make, negative 16. Wilmot's got negative 36. McKenna's got negative 5. These guys still have a lot of money to make us, so don't worry. Don't trade out Bontempelli. Just don't do it. He had a bad game on the weekend. He actually was probably best on ground, but the only thing was it didn't reflect on SuperCoach points because he had a lot of free kicks against him. This week, he probably won't do as many against the Tigers. The Tigers do not, and as I said, the Tigers do not currently tag, so he is going to be my VC option this week. Laird will be my C option this week. If, the Bont doesn't fire on all cylinders, I think the Bont's going to have a big game. Setterfield's still got more money to make. Mackenzie's still got more money to make. Ashcroft. Hopper, he'll be playing his third game. LDU, that was so disappointing last week. Yes, I was one of the coaches that tried to trade LDU out before the game and was unable to because the site crashed. That sucked. But don't worry. Honestly, he's going to make us some cash. Not that he's there to make cash, but he is going to make cash. I'm pretty content with my forward line. I think that I've got the best forwards in the competition right now. Supercoach wise, I'm happy. Players like Davies, negative 17 BE, Fergus Green, he's still got more money to make us. Baker, Philippou, Long, I think that these guys are going to be making a lot more cash. Philippou's getting close to the end of his cash generation because he did start at such a high price. Philippou did, what did he start at? He started at 166k. He went up 40, almost 41k. He's done all right. I did have to use his score on the field last week, which is annoying. I wish I put Ben Long. Oh no, yeah, I had to use his score on the field last week, which is annoying. But because of the amount of laid outs that I had, I've had an average year. I've had a really average year this year. I've just been very unlucky. I think my team's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with my team. I've just had a shit year. So Philippou, he's probably got another week of cash generation before I trade him out. As I said, he's in my plan to secure Tukey next week. He probably could be retained for another week or two, to be honest. But look, he's going to go up by another 20k, and I just think that he's nearing, unless he has a huge game on the weekend, he's nearing the end of that price generation. So I'd probably hold him up until that point only. And they're the real sort of players that I just wanted to, just touch on. The other guys that I wanted to talk about were people were talking a lot about Jack Bowes. He is on the bubble, but I'm gonna be honest, he's not the kind of guy that I don't think he's worth it. He's gonna go up 32k. I just don't like his role. He gets thrown around in defense, forward, wing, centre bounces. He's just everywhere. And now with Mitch Duncan, who's expected to come back this week, Stewart as well has already come back, had an amazing game last week. I just can't see the role that he had in round 2 being something that Jack Bowes is going to consistently produce. So for me, it's an avoid at all costs. That's 61 against the Suns. That's against his old side as well. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I like Jack Bowes as a player. I'm just talking about super coach wise. Just don't pick him. Don't pick him. Um, yeah, just don't do it. Don't do it to yourselves. I think there are better options. Uh, Jack Buckley is a better option. He's scoring better, and he's playing the same position, and he costs the same amount. Just go Jack Buckley. Do not go. As I mentioned earlier today, do not go for Jack Bowes, go for Jack Buckley. And I did talk about Jack Buckley earlier in the episode as to why we should be considering Buckley over Bowes. And you get a little bit more of a POD out of it too, because I think Bowes is actually pretty highly owned still, which is a bit interesting. The injury concerns for the week ahead. LDU is expected to return this week, but also it's subject to a fitness test. So let's see what happens. Setterfield, he trained away from the group during the week, and this is probably the biggest concern that I have, and that is Will Settergoat. He trained away from the group, and he also had a pretty big strapping on his thigh. Look, I'm not concerned too much, but I am also a little bit concerned. So I don't know. Personally, I'd be keeping an eye on setters, just making sure you've got a decent player in as your emergency. I'm not going to have Philippou as my emergency. I'm going to have Bakes as my emergency. Noah Long has been impressive. I'm just going to stick him in the E at the moment. Is Noah Long? Is it Noah? I think it's, or is it Ned? No, it is Noah. That was a complete guess. Oscar Baker's actually been pretty alright at the moment. He's going to make us a lot more cash, as I mentioned before. But yeah, so Setterfield, look, he's just not quite. Look, he's not quite right. Hopefully, he plays this week. Because if he does, then I've just got another player off, and I'm not going to trade him out because he's still got a lot of money to make. But yeah, hopefully he plays this week. We'll find out when teams are announced in a few hours after this video is released. There remains hope that star midfielder Elliot Yeo can return from a calf injury this week. So guess what? That is someone to keep an eye out on. I did make a tweet about that earlier. Had a few people say that they'd be crazy to pick him up, and I do think that he's the sort of player that you probably should keep an eye out. Do not bring him into your side this week. Do not bring Elliot Yeo into your side this week. Let's actually see what he does. He could score very well, and then he might be a trade-in option in 2 weeks' time. For someone with his injury history, I would not be bringing Elliot Yeo into the side until he is on that bubble and confirmed to be playing that game. That's when I'd be bringing Elliot Yeo into the side, because I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, it is way too much of a risk. By that point, players like McKenna, Wilmot, Cowan, those would be the sort of guys that probably would have topped out in cash. So they would probably be at the end of their cash generation, you'd think, and you might actually be able to do something like a, Wilmot, you might be able to trade Cowan and Wilmot out, bank some cash, get Yo in your side, and then bring in another rookie that is getting close to his bubble in 2 weeks too. So personally, I'd be holding off until at least Elliot Yo's third game, so the bubble. That'd be when I would bring him in, only if he's performing well, of course. But yeah, not a player that I'd be looking at just yet. So they're my moves for this week. A couple of talking points, a couple of players that I wanted to bring up. I do want to go over who. I know that I've already told you who my VC and C options are, but if you don't have these two players, I'm going to just go through it game by game just to see who you should consider. Thursday night, Brisbane versus Collingwood at the Gabba. I don't like this game. There's too many players that can go nuts. The entire Collingwood midfield is going absolutely ballistic at the moment. Jordan De Goey. I wrote an article for the Footy Gods earlier this year that this is going to be Jordan De Goey's year, and then I didn't have the cash to put him in the team, and I've regretted it ever since because he's absolutely killing it this year. He could be someone like a POD VC, so you could put the VC on him as a little bit of a POD option. Brisbane don't typically tag. I think that Nick Dacos is a decent option, but I don't know. I don't know if I can trust him with the VC against a quality opposition away, like the Lions. Look, I don't like any Collingwood players specifically for a VC option. I mean, those two guys are options, but I would only consider them if you think that Collingwood are going to run away with the game. The Lions have a good side. They are a good side and they are playing at home. Players like Josh Dunkley and Lockie Neal are decent options. Neal doesn't typically score amazing against the Pies, but Josh Dunkley, what does he do? He's a pretty decent scorer against the Pies. Wow, Lockie Neal. Oh, look at that. Josh Dunkley against North next week. That is juicy next week. But yeah, so for me, I'd just be staying clear from this game. I don't know. It's for me. I'm just gonna watch the game. I'm gonna enjoy the points, but I just can't. I don't know who's gonna get up and about. This game though, my God, if you have Patrick Cripps in your side, you pick Patrick Cripps as your VC. Friday night, Carlton versus North Melbourne. Honestly, just get Patrick Cripps. And Doherty. Look, I don't mind him as a shout for a VC, but I just don't like the form he's in. He's running around like a headless chook. He doesn't know what he's doing at the moment. That's what it looks like. It looks like that he's the guy just off the footy, and it's really frustrating to watch. Yeah, I know that he had 49 disposals last week, or whatever it was, 39 disposals, but the 2 weeks prior to that, he was very average, and I wouldn't be picking him. And Sam Walsh is not in the side yet either. So for me, it'd be just Patrick Cripps. Yeah, LDU. Blues kind of let midfielders do whatever they like. LDU is a decent option. Yes, definitely. LDU is a decent option. Yes. Adelaide actually played before the Dockers. I'd have to keep a very close eye. I just realised that I have almost made a very big mistake. I could put the VC on LDU. What is Luke Davis-Uniacke's record again? Oh, it's not good against the Blues. It is not good against the Blues. That is interesting. What is Rory Laird's... He does not have a good record against Fremantle either. But this is when he was playing as a half-back, not playing as a midfielder. So that's something that this record... So he didn't play against the Dockers last year. I think that's the week he was injured. I believe that was their first game of the season, and then he didn't play against them at all. So I think that this is the kind of game that... Interesting stuff. I might put the V on a Rory Laird and put Bont as my captain. Or I could just go... I could go the V on LDU, Captain Laird, and see what happens. That could work. Yeah, that could work. Anyway, LDU is the only option from North. Rory Laird for Adelaide. I don't like anyone from Fremantle at all at the moment. They're just playing pretty average footy. Maybe a Luke Ryan. See what happens. He's been killing it. He'd be the only player that I'd consider. The Tigers don't tag, so any Dogs player is, probably the way to go for this game. I don't like any Richmond player for VC or C, and that's been the case for a few years. Since Dusty just hasn't been performing that well, I just don't like anyone. But yeah, Tim English is a good option. You might have... Yeah, so you're Tim English and Bontempelli. What's English's record against the Tigers? It's actually not great. I won't go English, but I'm not going to personally go English. I think that for me... Look, I've paid a lot of money for Laird. I'm probably going to stick with Laird. I just want to see how have Fremantle performed against... How have midfielders performed against the Dockers this season? Let's take a look. So the first game was a St Kilda, and we're going to get scores eventually, or all stats. Why is that not coming up? Round 1. Yeah. See match stats. There we go. So, okay, so that's a mid. Alright, okay. Alright, interesting. Okay, so they've conceded a few points. Let's go Freo. Let's see. Against North Melbourne, LDU absolutely slaughtered the Dockers. Absolutely slaughtered them. Simpkin didn't do too bad either. Even Cunnington, even Shields, Powell. Yeah, so there's a lot. Yeah, I'm liking betting against Fremantle at the moment. I'm enjoying this. So, Seaton, Barras, Gimby, not bad. Kelly, West Coast are a bit of a basket case anyway, so it's a bit of a stupid way of looking at it. Yeah, I think that, if personally, I'm going to go with this game. So I'm going to go with LDU on the Friday night. If he doesn't perform, then I'm just going to go with Laird on the Saturday. And if he doesn't perform, I'm just going to delete my SuperCoach app. But I do like Bontempelli in this game too. I don't like Tim English as much. This game, St Kilda, the Suns, I don't like anybody. Took does not have a great record against St Kilda, and he's probably the only player that I would even consider in this game. I told you I'm going to bring Took in next week, most likely. The Swans versus Port. Don't like anyone either from either the Swans or Port. If you're going to... just don't. I mean, Rosie, maybe. Golden... Nah, just avoid. Just avoid that game completely. Then you've got Essendon and GWS. I don't mind either Tom Green. I also don't mind Cogs. I think Cogs will bounce back after last week. Essendon, I don't mind Zach Merritt at all. I also don't mind Setterfield if he actually plays. So that's just like a smoky there. Melbourne versus West Coast. Basically, look, I don't want you to pick Clayton Oliver. He could go absolutely mental against the Eagles, but it is kind of a weird bogey team to have. He doesn't typically perform well, and as I said, historically, he seems to have a really bad game in either round 4 or 5. So, Optus Stadium, I can see Petrarca going mental here. I can see Brodie Grundy going big, but I don't know. I'm going to stay clear from Clary, not that I have him anyway. You've also got the Hawks and Geelong that you can think about if you just want to throw your captaincy in the last game. I don't like anyone from Hawthorn. I think that's safe to say. Maybe a Sicily if you really want to go, Sicily against the Cats, because I could see it being in that forward line. That defensive line for Hawthorn for a long time as the Cats. Yeah, they're going to belt them. 3 losses in a row. I don't think they're going to lose the opening 4 games, although how funny would it be to lose the opening 4 games after winning a flag? The Cats, I don't like Tom Stewart because I can't see Hawthorn attacking too much for Tom Stewart to intercept any marks. So I just don't like Tom Stewart at all. Honestly, I would just probably stay clear from this game. You know who's up for a huge game this year, who hasn't delivered yet? Tom Hawkins. And for the sakes of my stupid draft league, can you please do better than a 23 score? Come on, Tom. What the shit? You were a primo last year, and what is going on? But yeah, he's due for a big game. So I can see Tom Hawkins having a really, really good game against Hawthorn and, probably kicking 4 or 5, which would be pretty good. Pretty good if you've got Tom Hawkins. I don't know why you would, but if you do have Tom Hawkins, yeah, well, you're probably not having a great year anyway. You probably would have already deleted the app. So that's it for me this week. I'll be back same time, same place next week. Please make sure to subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all of those places, just to get all these updates every week. And I do post quite a bit. Thanks for watching, guys.